threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well. Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Wanna be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Sponsors taken care of right off the top. Bull, Bitcoin, and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow
quality entertainment and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some stats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies, welcome back to the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast, where we are balanced like the budget and forked like the chain. I guess we'll talk about all that stuff tonight. My name is Joey. That's Line Buddy. What's going on? How the heck are you?
Do you want to hear more about the fork wars?
You fork your mother if you want to fork.
We've talked a lot about that recently. You know, I don't know.
It's a segment basically on every show. But I mean, until there's really something to talk about as far as like the actual fork, I mean, what are we going to discuss? We're just kind of, you know, postulating on what's possible. I'm not sold on either outcome being more likely than the other.
Or advantageous for you as a Bitcoiner, because I think there's a lot that still has to be done. Like a lot of water has to flow under this bridge before we figure things out. I brought on Gnome 2 Wednesdays ago.
2 weeks
for the fork. He wants to, you know, maximize his Bitcoin. And last
what do you do if there's a fork? You keep them both? What are you doing?
No.
Because take the rides in the chat too. Longtime friend of the show. Won't say his name, but yeah, like he's asking the same thing. Airdrop. Which one do you keep? Do you keep both? What do you do?
Well, depending on if there's going to be a censorship coin, if one that they're going to potentially do a reorg, then that's the one I'm probably not going to want to back up. I don't want to back. I just don't believe in that. Bitcoin's got to be censorship resistant.
Agreed.
A node could do whatever they want, but a network is something different. Having miners reorg and then that's bullshit. So I'm not for that. I would probably just dump those coins and then buy more of the other coin, the Bitcoin. Now, whichever coin keeps the BTC token, that ticker, that's going to be huge.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. If this even happens, I don't even know.
No, me neither. I mean, it's all up in the air right now. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We got a lot to discuss tonight. Budget just came out. I mean, I don't even know where to start. We're going to not waste any time here. The sponsors are the usual trio, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, Easy DNS, the best place for you to do all your domain-related work. Mark has been a friend of ours, friend of the show for a long time, and Easy DNS has been in business for even longer than that, accepting Bitcoin since the mid-2010s, early 2010s, something like that. It's been a while anyway, before it was cool. What can Mark give you? He's got everything you need when it comes to hosting a website, porting a website over. You want to buy one with him, no problem. He's got your domain acquisition needs in his crosshairs. Easy to take care of that. For a couple extra bucks, this is the big thing. Protect your data and your customers' data like it was your own, your clients' data, your mailing list data like it was your own. Get domain share, get easy mail. Let Mark lose sleep so you don't have to. Taking care of your stuff. Can't beat it. Plus, if you're a Bitcoin enthusiast, a lot of virtual private server options, Bitcoin nodes, Nostr relays, all that good stuff. Although now more and more merchants taking Bitcoin with Square, you may not need a BTC Pay server for much longer. So think about all that. Head over to easydns.com, promo code CBP Media. If you use it, you get 50% off your first round of buys. Can't beat that. We like that. Head over. Who's next?
Stock up. Yeah, stock up in your first buy and make them most worth your while. And Bull Bitcoin, we like them. They're non-custodial. This is what you want in exchange. They do Bitcoin on-chain. They do Lightning. So when fees are high, which they're not right now, you could then take advantage and do with Lightning, but just do on-chain for the time being. Look, for a non-custodial exchange, how many out there offers reoccurring buys, auto buys, limit orders? Not many. And so they do give you the option. So when the price dips, you're able to action it and buy some Bitcoin right away. Want to pay bills? You could do that with Bull Bitcoin. Want to send money to somebody? Well, you could do that. You could send the Bitcoin and eventually will end up in your friend's account as CAD, Canadian dollars. And then a lot of different options. if you use our referral code below, all your buys and sells forever are going to be a little bit cheaper. So check it out if you're in Canada, Western Europe, Costa Rica, Argentina. Gosh, I think that's it. I don't know. Wherever the fuck they are. It's a lot of places. Hopefully United States soon. We'll see.
Yeah, outstanding stuff. And then obviously we have one more sponsor we'll talk about during everyone's favorite segment, Brampton Man versus Hamilton Man. Let's do the boosts. We'll do a little housekeeping and then we'll get rolling.
Yeah, wartime, 133 sats, and he just writes boost. Thank you.
Great.
God's Deeth, 237 sats, and he says, "Thank you, gentlemen," with a laughing face. This is with respect to the Praveen versus D debate argument. Like it was. I sat at the sidelines and I had a good laugh. I just thoroughly enjoyed it.
When you do the shows, I usually try and like get onto my computer or like head onto YouTube at about an hour, right? So 8 o'clock, 7:55 ish, because I don't want to be up all night. I got to do the editing and stuff and try and get it out the next morning. And anytime I go on and it's 8:20 and you're still going, I know either the conversation has become very technical or demented. And with those two guys, I'm pretty sure it was some mix of the two, though I got to be honest, I didn't listen past the first 45 minutes because they're just like, it's like the same stuff we hear in the group chat with those two guys all the time. There's no point in tuning into the censored version on CBP for me.
It was partially censored, I would say. The R word was thrown around quite a bit. And anyways.
Yeah.
Doug, 525 sats, and he writes in fascinating show. This is the Gnome show I did a couple of weeks ago. He said, but would err on the side of caution with moving all my quote unquote non-Bitcoin airdrop coins to an exchange. Free money is fun and all, but doxing my stack, even a portion of it, is a big risk.
Good point.
Maybe you could use a decentralized exchange in order to do that. And so you're not really doxing anything. You can send it to a different address, and there's options,
Totally.
Hammertown OG. Joey, this is the second time
my guy. I gotta meet this guy. Where is he at?
In Hammertown. Anyways, 2,500 sats. Big spender. He says the quality of the service and products produced by companies that engage in DEI policies and use LMIA and TFWs is horrific. Our last meaningful act of defiance is to vote with our money, boycott establishments like the CBC and Tim Hortons, especially in Picton and Grand Bend.
Terrible. Spend
your money where the quality is found. That's why I support the CBP.
I love it. I appreciate that, Hammertown OG. If you ever want to get a beer, pint on me sometime. I'll know, Len. I don't think we ever talked about the Grand Bend Tim Hortons story on the show.
No, not in detail.
Do you know the story though? I think we talked about it offline. Owner of those two Tim Hortons, same owner, I think, or related somehow. Not necessarily by blood or anything, but they're following the same strategy. Fired the staff they had when they purchased the store and replaced them with TFWs, I guess. I suppose that's the or LMAs. Excuse me, I should say. So, I think that is true. I practice what I preach, although it does hurt me in the pocketbook a little bit from time to time. Anytime I go downtown in Dundas, I always try and buy something, whether it's like a $4 coffee from Domestique or whatever, a bumper sticker. I always buy all my Christmas gifts at the local shops. It's worth it because on the other side of trying to save a few bucks by going to, whatever, Sport Check, you wind up with a crappier neighborhood, crappier community. And I don't think anybody wants that. So I'm totally in agreement with Hammertown OG on that.
Business Cat 3333 sats.
BC.
He writes in, Russia is supplying weapons to our hemisphere, which is forcing the U.S. to respect its neighbors. China is air frying barbecue in low Earth orbit. The U.S. elected a communist to mayor its primary financial hub, and he's doing the face palm emoji. Thank you very much, Business Cat.
I got to go on that show. I love those guys. I've enjoyed being part of their Telegram chat. I joined that shortly after the conference, and it's always pretty good. High signal, and I see some familiar faces in there. Boomer among them. So I recommend people do that, and of course listen to that show as well. They just had Nick St. Louis on talking about the Orange Party. It's in my queue. I have to listen to that one still, but he's making a push to support Bitcoiner politicians and also maybe start his own or our own, I think he would say, political party of that same stripe at some point here in Canada. So interesting times, man. A lot going on.
That's it for boosts.
Love it. Housekeeping. So last week, as Len mentioned, Dee and Praveen talking new bips, talking forks, talking all this stuff in Bitcoin that you've been seeing on Twitter. Nice to not have two guys who are not interested in hygiene, it looks like, unfortunately, for the Bitcoin debaters. Praveen and Dee, both clean cut and well spoken, plus a few times the word retard thrown around, apparently, which is great. So we like that. Good conversation. I did a sip and rip again on Sunday. We talked about a lot of stuff, some budget, some other, and a change of heart by me on Universal Basic something. So go listen to that. And then this week, do we have anyone booked this week? Do you want to bring Tuan? Tuan wanted to come on. Do you want to bring Tuan on? I'll do it if you want.
We can. Have we secured it? Is he available?
I'll ask him. We'll see what he's doing. If he's available, we'll do it. If he's not, then we'll talk to him next week. But yeah, we're coming into the Christmas/holiday season here. It's going to be hard to get a lot of guests probably till January, but we'll do our best. It doesn't seem to matter to you guys who we get or if we get nobody. I'm happy to say the show is growing a lot. I just want to make a note that I tweeted out last week, the first 6 months of the new Bull Bitcoin UI, you and I put through about 630,000, 650,000, something like that in volume. That's really because of the quality of the listeners we have. And, I made the thumbnail tonight kind of in jest with every famous person I could think of and crammed them into the thumbnail. We don't need to do that. We have a really great listener base, and, we've become friends with so many of you guys, whether through Discord or Telegram or on Twitter. I try to reply to all kinds of DMs to try and, make people feel like they're part of a community. And I think you guys do the same. And it's been an awesome experience. And I just want to thank you guys for your support and patronage of the sponsors and really just listening to Len and I. It's been fantastic. We really owe you guys. We owe you guys quite a bit.
I have nothing else to add.
Let's go. Let's go.
You want to talk? Okay, let's talk. The Canadian budget. I guess we'll talk about the Bitcoin portion of this. At least that's
sure.
That's tangentially related to the budget, and it's the stablecoin. They've unveiled the Canadian regulations that they want to put forth towards stablecoins. Nothing is groundbreaking here. They want to have the issuer of the stablecoins to be backed with sufficient reserves. Mm-hmm. Make that what you will.
They don't mention the characteristics of the reserves.
Correct. We have had algorithmic stablecoins in the past, so I'm certain that's not going to fall within the definition of sufficient reserves, but maybe somebody could be creative in that. Who knows? But they want to establish redemption policies and put in place management frameworks such as protecting personal and financial data. And let's be honest, there's a lot of information that's going to be available to be poached. And even if it is, what is the government going to do at that point? The horse has left the barn, and whatever. It is what it is. But the involvement of Canada doesn't just end from there. It's just strictly providing the guidelines. No. There's going to be a little bit more to it. The Bank of Canada will be putting up $10 million over 2 years. Not a lot of money, but still. And this is going to be starting next fiscal year to ensure that everything runs smoothly, followed by an estimated $5 million in annual costs that will be offset from the stablecoin issuers that are going to be regulated under the Retail Payment Activities Act. So essentially, these stablecoin operators are going to be charged a fee, looks like an annual fee, and that's going to be part of that $5 million in annual cost. And as for where the $10 million is coming from, it would have been from remittances that were going to be provided to the government of Canada. So the Bank of Canada would have probably made some sort of profit somehow, and then so that $10 million, instead of going to the government of Canada, it's going to be used for this stablecoin project. The goal of all this is to make stablecoin users have a sense of security when they use
the words you use are great. They got to have a sense of security, not actual security, of course, but a sense of it, just a sense of security. Feel like you're secure.
And then, of course, they want to try modernizing payments as well, and they want to avoid the shit. I've mentioned the stuff that Do Kwon did in the algorithmic stablecoin. I guess they want to avoid the Terra Luna collapse and its associated stablecoin. Really, this is a whole big nothing burger. It's very similar to the Genius Act, but not as defined as that. It's close to it, but not quite.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really do very much of anything.
Why do you think it's a nothing burger? Give me the 30 seconds on why this is not anything worth paying attention to.
If this is in existence versus it not being in existence, I don't think it changes anybody's opinion on the usage of stable coins and how they believe how secure they are. If somebody's going to use a stable coin, I suspect they're going to have a belief it's backed, at least 1-to-1 or something similar to that. Does it need to have legislation to prove that to be the case? It's really just, it doesn't do anything aside from just providing a framework for what companies can do. It's nothing really.
Okay.
It doesn't give the people the ability to use it. We're still at the very dawn of having stable coins be issued or be available to Canadians, at least a Canadian version of the stable coin. So it's still a lot of runway here before things could actually play out. But really, does it change anything? No. I'm concerned, though, this might actually lead to some sort of change for how Bitcoin could be used in the future.
Okay.
Because what is being, if they want, right, if they want to have some sort of framework for stablecoins, is it a bridge too far to cross to go to Bitcoin? They're both digital tokens. One is not backed by anything besides energy. The other one's backed by, we presume, dollars. But still, like there is a similarity between the two. You have, it's a network running it. It's a blockchain. There's a few things there that makes it similarities. I'm wondering if this is going to lead to some sort of framework for how Bitcoin is dealt with it within Canada. That would be interesting to see.
The stables won't run on a blockchain. They'll run on some other L2 or something. I don't think they'll be the blockchain the way that we, though not maybe not the way we think about it, but the way the public thinks about it. It won't be, because it's inefficient. Doesn't make sense to run stables on that. I think you're right, like 80% of the way, in that, this is going to be something that's pretty cookie cutter around the world. Every country is going to try and do something similar for stables. They'll back it with treasuries or with bonds or whatever, and some mix of gold and other liquid assets, let's say, and we'll figure it out. In Canada, we'll have to put real estate in there too, because it's the only thing we have worth any money. But story for another time. My bigger concern is that the problems this could cause down the line for financial freedom for the average Canadian. I'll give you an example. We've talked on this show before about how if every country has stable coins and all you need is a digital wallet to use them, which stable coin are you going to go with?
The USDT or USDC, I'm guessing. One of those.
Something attached to the US dollar, right? So whatever, we'll leave the branding aside for now, but you're going to go with the US dollar stablecoin. That's sort of table stakes here, okay? That's the first variable that is set in stone. So everybody wants a US dollar stablecoin. What does that mean? It means the vendors have to have a way to accept it, right? They're going to want it too. So what do? They come up with a third-party wallet or some other app where they can just operate entirely in stablecoins and not go back to the Canadian banking rails. Why do they not go back to the Canadian banking rails? Because the only way Canadian banks and other banks make money is scalping on transactions. And if banks want to scalp on transactions at an increased rate as a penalty for using US dollar stablecoins as opposed to Canadian stablecoins, no one's going to want to do it. That's going to cause a problem for the banks. It's going to cause a problem for the government. The second issue there is that if there is a push, a real push, to make Canadian stablecoins a standard for retail, for purchases, for bill payments, for whatever, for taxes, there will need to be a significant effort to kibosh anyone or anything that helps people load US dollar stablecoin apps, wallets, whatever, onto their electronic devices, mobile, desktop, you name it. That's significant. And if we go down that road, that's a huge problem, because Bitcoin is in that's the same lane. Okay. If the government is throwing a bowling ball at those pins, Bitcoin is going to get clipped along the way there for sure. For sure. And I don't think that anyone in government can actually explain what a stable coin is, any elected official anyway. So we have some time on this, but I would caution people. I think I kind of mentioned this in passing on our show last week or 2 weeks ago. What is the likelihood that a stable coin is allowed to be transferred or traded for Bitcoin in that environment? It's got to be close to zero, right?
If they want to prevent on-ramps into Bitcoin, absolutely.
That's right. So for me, it's like, man, if you're looking at this and thinking, yeah, I got time to buy Bitcoin or stable coins are no big deal, I would caution against that in a major way. I would say that you're not on the clock, but there's people looking at this now, and like, everyone can kind of see too, in terms of the excuse me, nothing stops this train thesis for people who are like, well, this isn't necessarily going to happen in Canada or the United States anytime soon, blah, blah, blah. I would say if you look at some of the policy enacted by the Trump administration or the stuff they're trying to put in to stimulate demand because people are running out of money, 50-year mortgages before the show, more talk now from the White House about 15-year car loans being available to people if they want them. I mean, you can see the writing on the wall here. And I would just say that there's going to be at some point, and I said this a year ago at the Bitcoin conference, there's going to be a target on your back as a Bitcoiner. And the target's going to come from all sorts of places. It's going to come from your neighbors, your friends. People are going to be jealous. They're not going to like you. They're going to say you got lucky. But I think it's also going to come from the shepherds of the currency. And I get the feeling we're getting closer and closer to this sort of watershed moment here. And the US, for its part, while it is true that the US has not treated samurai devs with any kindness, for sure, it seems to me that they are being kind to crypto, stables, and Bitcoin. Coinbase today announcing they have a framework for people who want to launch coins on the platform. Like it seems to me like it's moving toward a more free, if a little bit controlled and a little bit gated, a more free ecosystem there than anywhere else in the world. And it feels to me like people at the White House know what I just said is true, that everyone wants a dollar if they have a choice between the dollar and something else. And so let's do whatever it takes to make the dollar available and make it so that anyone who tries to stop the dollar from being available in their jurisdiction looks nuts. It looks more like a whimper than it does an iron fist. And I think they've achieved that. We'll see what happens in Canada and in Europe, obviously, for sure, over the next year, but it's coming.
Europe is interesting because I wanted to make a point is that Mark Carney, what was his previous position before he became besides the CEO?
Bank of England, sorry. Yeah.
Right. And then he was so the Bank of England today made a proposition that individuals are going to be capped at 20,000 pounds.
Stablecoin pounds.
20,000 pounds. And then also businesses, 10 million pounds.
So even if they can track everything, they still want to cap it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
So you have our prime minister who used to be the governor of that bank that is proposing these changes. And so there's a connection between the two. And he seems to be traveling a lot to Europe and keeping or establishing new connections with Europe. So it's probably not too far a stretch to see the Bank of Canada propose the same type of restriction here. And if they do that, say the equivalent, say 30,000 Canadian in terms of stable coins and 15 million in terms of businesses that they could have in stablecoin, then is it even further from that type of scenario that they say you can only hold this amount of Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Like, is it possible? I could probably not. Maybe, I don't know. I mean,
the thing is, like,
if they're going to limit how much fucking stablecoin I own, like, what?
The question is, why are they limiting it? Right? Why do you think they're limiting it?
I would love to know the answer because I think you know.
I know the answer.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm curious to know what the answer would be.
I think it's because they absolutely have to stimulate demand in the economy.
You don't think it's control?
No. I think this is a close kin of control, but it's not outright demanding certain things. People, you remember we talked on this show about one of the dangers of stablecoins back in like 2021. That one of them was negative interest rates on savings. What does that do? It forces you to spend. And I think what they want is that forced spending. They don't want people just holding stuff that appreciates in value or holding stuff that's not helping grow an economy that all over the world is having trouble stimulating demand. Everywhere there is a demand measured, stimulating demand is a priority because it's a weakness right now.
Okay. So
if you allow people to hold and hold and hold and presumably collect interest on those stable coins, what happens? They don't want this. They don't want it. It doesn't do them any good. It's the same as having cash under your bed. They're not going to force you to spend it with negative interest rates, but they are going to cap how much you can hold. And they want you to spend. Bitcoin, I think, if anything, will go the same direction via unrealized gains over a certain cap, over a certain threshold. I suspect this is in the Overton window for these guys now, for two reasons, both of which we talked about on the show before. And people need to take this seriously. The boomers are dying. They're going to transfer money as much as they can to their kids. And their kids are in a position where they want to have a cushion, but The government wants that money spent. We've heard people like Christian Freeland talk about this supercharged savings for the economy that we need to unlock. Okay, this is what they're talking about. That's number one. Number two, they don't want, number two, the reason that this is going to be the case is because no one younger than us has any money. And so what are they going to do? They're going to Mamdani me at every turn. They're going to vote to take away my house, my gains, my tax efficient accounts, my whatever. How do you do that? You vote for stuff like unrealized gains on assets. You vote for stuff like unrealized gains over a certain threshold. So you anger only some of your voter base instead of all of your Bitcoin voter base, whatever, right? And the thing we forget as Bitcoiners, because we're in this ecosystem that's like a tight-knit echo chamber, is nobody has Bitcoin. Nobody. And so everyone,
nobody owns Bitcoin proper, or nobody, like
the number of people who are involved at all in Bitcoin is basically zero.
It's got to be a fraction of a percent.
The number of people who have enough Bitcoin to be upset about a tax change to the way held Bitcoin is assessed is zero. It's me, it's you, it's a few people in the chat. That's it. There's no political consequence for taxing this stuff. The only difficulty is, do you get capital flight? Do you get brain drain? And is this enforceable? Because you have to get it right if you take a swing at this, right? And so this is another people will vote you out of what you've earned because they haven't earned it themselves. And I do believe this is going to happen at some point. Like this is the greatest threat to Bitcoiners and the Citadel and all this stuff is democracy, because no one is going to vote for you to stay rich while they're eating sliced bread. It ain't going to happen. So this is a danger. And, we're kind of far afield, I should say. But, this should help you kind of find your footing in terms of where we are in the development curve of all this stuff. This is coming. It's who was in the comments there? OG Hammertown or whatever. I think Hammertown OG said the financial capital of the world, former financial capital of the world, probably just elected a communist, dyed in the wool communist who's never had a job. He's never had a job, Len. All he had to do was say he's going to tax, the rich, white neighborhoods, whatever he said. I'm going to give away buses and grocery stores. Like, that's all it takes.
That could also be said with the president of the United States.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. But what I'm saying is there's going to be, and actually the guys on All In made fun of Friedberg for this last year when he said it during the Trump election. They're making their yearly predictions. Everybody, including me, thought this is the end of the far left, end of quasi-communism, new age communism, communist chic. It's over. And Friedberg nailed it. He fucking nailed it. Said, you guys think this is the end of communism? I think it's the beginning. There's going to be a sweeping dominance from candidates who embrace this ideology. And we're starting to see it. And Trump has had no choice, by the way, but to at least kind of get on board. I'm sending out checks. I'm sending out this. I'm like,
And what can you do about all this?
Nothing.
I mean, right. You could get angry. You could try to do political action if you don't agree with it. In the end, I suspect it's going to be maybe the wrong thing to say, but I'll say it. It's going to be a lot of wasted energy. Just because things happen sometimes and there's nothing in individual. Maybe if you get a lot of people on board, maybe you could stop it. But you know what? You're a Bitcoiner. You're in Bitcoin. You know what to do. You know how to do it, and just execute. And that's it. It's if you want more information about it, feel free to talk to me on the side. I'll be happy to discuss. But that's the reality of it. Like, there's lots of different options available. Do what you got to do, man. And it's a beautiful thing. It's permissionless. It's borderless. You own it. You may be taxed on it, but you're taxed on everything else. So just be ready to be taxed on it. That's all.
That'll be the stance for sure. That'll be the stance.
What could you do?
Yeah.
Cashew. Talk about them.
Sure.
Briefly.
Yeah.
It's a custodial layer that's built on Bitcoin, and it's supposed to solve the scalability problem with Bitcoin and make it easier and quicker transactions, similar to Lightning, but in a different way. This way it's custodial versus Lightning, which is, you could be it non-custodial. We learned that there's a vulnerability for versions prior to 0.18.1 in Cashew, and the exploit allowed for potential data to be stored as the user never paid the fee that depended on the witness size. So that means that all tokens with the witness that are too large are now being rejected, but before they weren't. And so they were able to plug in whatever bullshit they wanted onto into this. It was kind of funny. I mean, it's a quick story because Callie is one of the people behind Cashew, and he's very much a proponent of the core stance of just allowing things to play out the where they are. And if something goes into the Bitcoin blockchain, well, people paid for it, and so be it. But in this case, you didn't want spam to be included. I guess it's because the user didn't pay for that particular fee. So that it's an actual bug, but still there's a sense of irony here in that he was upset that spam was being included in this. People were storing JPEGs, but he doesn't mind that in Bitcoin. So anybody out there that's using Cashew, beware, just upgrade to 0.18.1. And I wouldn't really trust this. This is a custodial federation model. I'll use something else that's not.
Yeah, that's the key word, right? Custodial. It's
that's why I Bitcoin, man.
The federation model has been I don't want to say hotly debated, but people have had this concern with these models since the beginning of like Fedimint and other stuff like that. It's always been a lingering issue. It's not going to change. So, you take your trade-offs and decide what works for you, but there's always risk with stuff like this.
Well, there's a layer of trust a level of trust that you have to have when you deal with this. You have to trust that when it is you want to do a redemption, that you're able to get it and they're not going to rug pull you. So that's all it is. It's just, that's Bitcoin takes away that trust factor.
It should.
You can verify everything. The only time there's a trust factor is when you purchased Bitcoin. When you purchase Bitcoin, when I go and give money to an exchange and it comes back to me in Bitcoin, I can't do a verification that it's going to be done. I have to trust that they're going to send me to Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin's been very good. They haven't rugged anybody, but that's the only that right now, if you really want to break it down, that's really, for me at least, that's the only chain that's trust. Everything else I could verify myself, but that portion, I have to have some trust, and I can't get around that. And at least I'm putting trust in a group of folks that I believe in. So that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Lennon. You've always got a good kind of sense for these things. If I look back at the things we've talked about on the show, things we've disagreed on, especially on the technical side, you always have a pretty good handle on whether or not this is going to be a problem in the future. I
don't think Cashew is going to be a problem. It's just the idea of that you're giving some trust.
It's riskier.
I don't like that.
Maybe I should reframe it. I think, you've always been on the side of things are riskier than the way they are presented a lot of the time in Bitcoin. And this is a good example.
I think the best way I could frame it is that I trust myself the most. With those keys, like I could control and I could trust myself, and if I could take everybody else except friends and family, then fuck it, I'm happy.
If you take everyone out instead of friends and enemies, you could do
enemies. They could fuck right off. Let's talk about more trust, because 3 years ago, this week we have FTX that collapsed, and think of all the people that trusted.
Anniversary episode. Okay, great.
Yeah, and that if you look at
Bankman-Fried in the thumbnail, didn't even think about that.
I guess a lot of time has passed between now and then, but we got to look back, because when FTX collapsed that week, the price of Bitcoin, there was a couple of drastic red candles. It drove down the price from around 20-ish K to 15K almost immediately. And I can understand why people were dumping Bitcoin, and people didn't have much faith in Bitcoin at the time, because look, this was the third largest exchange by many metrics. Either Binance and Coinbase were number 1 and 2. I think that was the order, 1 and 2. Either way,
they were huge. They were huge, and also they were very public. That was another sort of thing that they had going for them. You remember Carolyn Ellison talking about how they'd buy all the what was the token they were going to buy? Was it their own token? They were going to buy all the
FTT tokens?
The FTT. I'll buy all your FTT at $22 or something like that. Remember, she was tweeting out to people who were saying they were going to sell it. Yeah.
And still to this day, that token is being traded. It's a fraction of the price, but still, it's incredible.
That's what I got you for your birthday. I got you 100,000 FTTs. Yeah, it was like $8. Yeah. I'm like the David St. Onge of cryptocurrencies. I just buy defunct, bankrupt cryptos and hand them out.
Hopefully, I got a Terra Luna as well. And remember CZ at one point was thinking about bailing out FTX at $4 billion. That was the
Well, that is a crazy callback. And he looked at the books and decided not to, right?
yes. He decided, no, man, this is just too much. So yeah,
He
and in
went to
fact,
jail and decided the FTX books were too
Well,
much.
he put his lawyers to work on other things right after looking at those books. Boys, you got to keep me out of jail, at least make it a short stay in Club Fed.
Oh God.
He also was the one that triggered the immediate bank run.
Yeah.
He remember there was 500 million worth of FTT that Binance decided to sell, and it started a huge bank run, and eventually a few days later ended up with FTX being tits up. The FTX, just to give some context here, was valued at $32 billion in early 2022, and that's 2022 dollars. So what is that now? Like a 1.8 trillion?
It's minimum
at least. And then they also had large investors. Remember, we had Canada's very own Ontario Teachers Pension Plan.
OTP,
Pony up some,
and then Quebec invested in 2 rounds of FTX.
Good for them.
Yeah,
Good
got
for
burned
them.
twice, not once, but twice. They failed to do their due diligence on Sammy Boy.
The Miami Heat Arena had its naming rights with FTX. It was called the FTX Arena. 19-year deal, $135 million. Major League Baseball umpires had under sleeve.
I remember.
University of Berkeley's football stadium was named FTX Field. This shit went on, and they were spending money left, right, and center. Yeah. So more than anything, look, people, their largest exchange, they had naming rights with a number of different things. It looked like everything was rosy. This is a good reason why you don't leave your Bitcoin on any exchange. It may look good today, but tomorrow it could be a totally different scenario. Take your Bitcoin off, trust yourself with your keys, sleep well at night.
What is there to say about this? It hasn't been said already. This is we beat this horse to death over the years. Is he I think Boomer and Julian Figueroa have a bet that he gets out of prison before his sentence is up. I think it's like 1 million sats or something like that.
Yes.
What is it? What is the bet, Boomer? Put it in the chat there, and I'll mention it. Do you think he's going to serve his full sentence? I mean, Trump seems to be in a pardoning mood, though his crimes are pretty significant. So, be curious.
15 years. I'm going with the under.
Under. Okay.
Yeah,
I think I'd probably take the under too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's already tweeting from jail, or someone's tweeting.
Somebody's doing it on behalf. Yeah. Of him.
So if that's okay, no one seems to be mad about that. So whatever.
It's just somebody taking hold of his account. It doesn't really change his. He's still stuck in behind bars. Either way, Do Kwon is another one. Remember this guy spawned those shitcoins, the Terra Luna Classic, the Terra Luna stablecoin, or not so stable stablecoin. By the way, that's trading. It's still being traded as stablecoin at 0.7 of a penny. Incredibly, it's still out there.
It's worth. Who's going to zero first? Torstar or FTT?
I'm going with Torstar. Yeah, I can see that going to like literally zero, and the other one's still having a trillionth of a cent. It's gonna have some market cap of like $50. But anyways, for Do Kwon, crime doesn't pay, especially for doing shitcoining, because he is going to do some time in the United States. U.S. prosecutors are asking him to do 12 years. And it looks like he may get a fraction of that if all goes as planned. This may be the proverbial slap on the wrist. And once his time is done in the U.S., it's not done, because he will be extradited to South Korea, where he may serve an extra 10 to 15 years, because he fucked over their citizens as well. And they want to make sure that justice is served over there. But I'm going to use this as a segue to a different topic that's adjacent to it, because we had the Samurai developer, Keon Rodriguez, the mixing service, right? The verdict is in. He has to pay up $250,000, 5 years in jail. Mm-hmm. And this all comes back from this past July. He pleaded guilty to money transmitting charges. And remember, not too long ago, this guy was thumbing his nose at Uncle Sam. He was tweeting out there, putting out remarks about having Russian people use the service, and so they could bypass.
Idiot. It just completely stupid. Stupid. And then you find out that they were stashing your UTXOs, or your UTXO data. They were stashing it. They were keeping it. That was against that guy turned out to be a fraud. He did.
In a different timeline, I would love to know how much of a jail sentence and fine he'd have to pay if he didn't go out and say bullshit against the U.S. government. If he would just remain quiet, get served, so would it still be a $250,000 fine and a 5-year in jail?
That's a good question.
I'd love to know, but
I'm not sure.
I guess I'll have to go 88 miles per hour and figure this shit out myself. You ever hear about this guy, Roman Novak? I'm not sure if many people heard of him before.
No, I haven't.
Well, I haven't really heard about him much this week, but Jameson Lopp informed us about him, and he's been on talking about all these type of people. This guy apparently was murdered following a ransomware plot that went sideways, and this guy Novak was a crypto millionaire, a Russian crypto millionaire. And he and his wife, Anna, they lived a very luxurious lifestyle. They flaunted expensive cars and flying on private jets. Maybe they're going to be going to COP30. I'll be talking about that in a little bit. But they've been doing all this on social media. So they've been doing this in the fucking open and trying to monetize that at the same time. And in early October, they went out to meet some quote-unquote unidentified investors. And this was going to be near the UAE and Oman border, specifically in the Hatta area within the UAE. And he was dropped off by his driver, and he exited that, entered a second car to be taken to the final location. This sounds like a fucking movie. And that's the last time this guy and his wife were seen. Roman sent a message to his contact saying he was stranded in the mountains on the Oman border and desperately needed $200,000. Shortly thereafter, dismembered bodies of both he and his wife were found. And the guy lived a shady life. He founded a platform called Fintopio, and it promised fast crypto transfers. It was involved with Web3 and all that shit, DeFi, and lots of money was invested in it, including investors from Russia, China, and the Middle East. And then reportedly he fled with $500 million. So he made a lot of enemies, a lot of probably very powerful enemies, and as a result, now he's gone. He was actually convicted in 2020 November for large-scale fraud, and he was sentenced to 6 years in prison, but he was granted parole and moved to the UAE. So more than anything, if you have Bitcoin, if you have a lot of Bitcoin, good for you. I wouldn't go out there flaunting it. Right? The best thing you could do is live a very quiet lifestyle. And you know what? You go fly under the radar. Don't be like these motherfuckers. Don't be showing off that you're flying on private jets and renting and buying expensive cars. It is not fucking worth it, because you have to have a team of bodyguards around you 24/7. And even then, who knows? Maybe those bodyguards might be compromised. Just fucking live a good and quiet life. That's the way to do it as a fucking Bitcoiner. Remember that guy that bought that buy Bitcoin sign?
Yeah.
Remember that? He apparently he took the fucking subway in New York to meet up with the buy Bitcoin guy that had and he was just a regular dude, bought the piece of paper and went back in the subway and went home. Just a regular dude. You would have never known that guy had a crap load of Bitcoin. It's just, that's what you got to be. That fucking guy.
I don't know what the number is for Bitcoin price, but it's different. That number is different all over the world in terms of when you should go dark as a Bitcoiner. This guy was in Europe, I think, right?
He was in Russia and in UAE.
Okay, UAE. Like I would say the Bitcoin price number there where you should go dark is pretty low. Might be a little higher in places like the States or Canada, but unfortunately, even in those places, it's getting lower all the time. I would recommend people, if you're a Bitcoiner, we talk all the time about how you have to have a security setup that makes it so your Bitcoin's not easily accessible. It doesn't sound like that would have helped this guy very much, unfortunately. But I think the point still stands that you're going to wind up with a lot of people thinking you have wealth that was unearned, undeserved, and maybe also as part of a zero-sum way of thinking about money in society over the next 10 years. So have a setup that makes sense. Don't make it easy to get at your Bitcoin. Make it, multi-jurisdictional, multi-stop, multi-sig, multi-whatever. Nobody should be able to come to your house, apartment, place of residence, whatever, and get your Bitcoin. Should be impossible. There's no excuse for that at this point. It's been it was 3,000 something when we started doing the show, you know, or whatever it was. And now it's 100,000. And if you didn't set something up along the way, I mean, the best time to do it is now, but you should have done it already. And so think about that for yourself and for your family.
Here, Ledger is going to be, well, at least they're thinking about doing an IPO. Ledger.
I'm a buyer day one. Sign me
Also
up. What's the cost? I'll put it next to my Coinbase bags.
Apparently they have a lot of revenue and they want to make sure that they capitalize on this revenue at this particular time. And yeah, so there's no definitive timeline or if indeed they're going to be going ahead with it. But man, Ledger, could you imagine that? Like a signing device, a company that just makes signing devices and shitty ones at that, they're going to fucking IPO. Like, what a fucking world with it. This is
Ledger. There's a story like earlier this week about how somebody, I guess, bought a Ledger Nano S or X or something, or maybe one of the Stacks devices, and MBK was tweeting about it. How he left the thing basically, he left it, you know, locked up, cold storage, whatever, for a year or 2 years, and went back to it, and the thing wouldn't hold a charge. So he couldn't like access the screen. The screen was like all dinged up or bent out of shape or something. Couldn't, like, it just wasn't working anymore. Like the quality of the parts was no good. And so now the guy's like, well, if I didn't have my seed phrase, I'd be cooked. Right. I say some negative things about cold cards from time to time. I had a cold card out here earlier. I don't know where I put it, but you know, I say some negative things about cold cards all the time. Yeah. See, we spend too much time messing with these gadgets. Anyway, the thing I'll say to people is that you can love or hate the cold card, but guess what? When you plug it in, the screen just works. You know, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You don't have to worry about issues with busted pixels or touch screens not working. Or it's like a very, you know what it is, Len? It's the equivalent of a car without all the mechanical, the electrical nonsense that causes failures in other larger systems in a car. And, you know, I don't know if MBK would find that to be a compliment or not, but I will say that his devices just have the lowest sort of threshold for working and avoiding failure due to, you know, sort of unforeseen or stupid circumstances around parts or manufacturing or whatever. It's just good stuff. Everything they make is just going to work forever. I mean, maybe not forever, but you get the idea. And
this is a test one, in case anyone was wondering what the fuck am I doing. You can even see by seed phrase. There's to get into it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just a test. So there's nothing on this. But if anyone wants to steal it from me, be my guest. You got fucking nothing as a result. It's just.
I was messing around today with the multi-sig stuff on the Q. I was going to update it, and I thought to myself, I want to try like an expanded multi-sig setup just to see how difficult it is to execute on like a transaction side. It's actually really easy. I'm surprised how easy all this stuff is with a queue. Every time I try something new, because I see like a sessions video in my YouTube algo or something, I'm like, oh, I should try this. And it's easy. It takes like half an hour. Like it takes nothing. It takes no time at all. And people they're sleeping on them still somehow.
I'm a big fan of the 25th word rather than multi-sig, but do whatever you want in order to
whatever. Yeah.
There's
passphrase,
number
right?
different ways.
That's a passphrase.
Big fan of that. The best thing about the passphrase, man, it could be a fucking long one, right? It doesn't have to be one of the words that are on the BIP 39, is it? Whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah,
it could be like it could be like a phrase.
Could be anything you want. Could be something. I don't know. What would you use?
The Blue Jays lost in Game 7.
World Series to who? Yeah. What game did they lose in? What, you know, like.
Yeah. And if you change one character from capital to lowercase or lowercase, it changes everything.
Yep.
So like, there's so many different ways you could do this. And I like that, but
yeah,
teach their own, right? There's
totally. Bitcoin's beautiful. You got to learn it though. Got to learn it.
Use it the way it should be. Don't trust these exchanges. Also, I wouldn't suggest lending it out, at least to Lava. I'm not sure if you heard about the story.
Yeah, I did. This is an ugly one. They seem to have some kind of really social media heavy push over the last week or so, and then just nuked from orbit by people who are saying this weird funds movement on the platform.
Well, the weird funds, yeah. I'm just going to lay the table here for people wondering what the fuck we're talking about. It's Lava is a business that's giving Bitcoiners out there an opportunity to borrow against their Bitcoin 5%. So rather than selling it, your Bitcoin, and being subjected to capital gains tax, you could just borrow against it and then pay it back later on. And that way you don't have to pay the tax and you get access to your Bitcoin, and potentially it's a win-win. And on top of this borrowing, they were going to be offering up, or they are offering up, a earnings card where you could get paid up to 5% in Bitcoin when making buys. So that's another way you could use their products and increase your stack. Lava, they say that they have raised $200 million to make this all a reality. And they've been doing this for the past 6 months or so. I think since March, they've been really going out there and starting to lay the groundwork for their product. And so the problem was revealed that it looks like the self-custody Bitcoin that they have, well, who knows what's going on, because somebody that did use their service, they realized the Bitcoin they sent to Lava was moved to a different address without the customer's consent. Yeah. It was an unknown address. So there's questions if indeed that they are custodying the Bitcoin. Furthermore, because they operate on US soil, they need to have money transmission licenses, and they don't seem to, at least they don't present that they have it. No. People like Jack Mahler's out there has been sending the war drum saying, look, this is what we have here at Strike. And he showed the website. He's like, here's what Block has. He showed their website, and they have fuckloads worth of money transmission licensing that from various states. And
it's so state forth. By state. Yeah, it's the thing. Yeah.
And since they operate on US soil, they're also no KYC. That could be a real mess. So, you're doing a US company doing money transmission without licensing, doing no KYC. They may not be custodying the Bitcoin. This could be a potential mess out there. If anybody has used a Lava service, certainly I would recommend you may want to just close out your loan, take the hit, and just wait it out, because this could be really bad. You could lose your coin as a result of all it. Once the regulators get a hold of them, if the way things could play out, they could put them through the ringers.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing else for me to add there. You're playing with fire. These guys, even if they're on the up and up as far as character, the likelihood that the government continues to allow them to operate is basically zero. So why would you leave your money with that platform?
That's a great question. And I think people they see a nice tweet, a good social media post
was a big push. A lot of big names talking about it all of a sudden. Yep.
Some fancy art and AI and all that. Like, I'm going to use this. I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. I'd rather but as somebody pointed out, they're just using the all-time high as making the lows. Take the ride is saying that it's timing sucks if you're a customer of them, but who the hell knows what the all-time high is going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, I see Fisk in the chat too saying they're seeding the SBR. Taking the Bitcoin. Yeah, maybe unintentionally, but you never know. You're right.
Yeah. Joey, we have a lot to talk about in the back half. I suggest we just end the Bitcoin side now and just transition to the other side of the
show. We'll see you on the other side. If you're on audio, if you're on video, or with us live on Twitter, hang in. We're not going anywhere. We're going to go talk about the latest and greatest over in notable news stories. So we'll see you on the other side.
And don't lend your Bitcoin.
Very good. Very good. 52-53. I have a new addiction. It's the game Arc Raiders. I can't stop playing it.
I've heard that game, but is it a new one?
It's new. It's only $50, and it's probably the best game I've played in the last 5 years at least. Except for God of War, except for like the heavy AAA story games, but this is really, really good. Really, really good. I don't know if anyone else is playing it out there. I know in our CBP Discord, you can probably see that I'm signed into Arc Raiders here and there, and most evenings for 40 minutes or 45 minutes. I wish I had more time. Excuse me, but it's just so great. Extraction shooter. I am not a big extraction shooter guy. Never have been, but this one really has my
extraction shooter.
You drop into a huge map, and there's a few of them at launch, and you go around trying to loot different items, caches, and the further you go into the map, the more difficult everything gets.
So it's kind of like Fortnite. It's kind of like PUBG and all that.
Except PUBG and Fortnite have no PvE. So the environment is actually the most dangerous thing, not the other players. And so sometimes other players will try and kill you and not get nicked by the environment along the way. Other times, most of the time, it's been my experience playing solos. Other players want to help you, and if you help them, to get deeper and deeper into the map so you can get some of the better loot and upgrade and stuff like that. And maybe my favorite part is that as the game progresses, every game is a half hour, right? That's how long you can stay in a game for a half hour max. As the game progresses, the exit points where you can leave with all your loot and bring back everything to use and upgrade and stuff, they start to disappear. So at the beginning of the game, there's like 6 different elevators you can pick. They all have timers on them. So some of them are 30 minutes, some of them are 10 minutes, some of them are 12, 15, whatever. And as the game goes on, that means the best players are left. They've spent the most time looting the best gear. And now they all got to get together at the elevator. And so what do you do at the elevator? You got all the enemies there from the environment, all the enemies there from the PvP side. Do you cooperate or do you just start killing everyone, try and get your hands on as much as you can before you leave? It is intense. Very, very well put together game. Highly recommended. If you're on PS5, I'll play with you. I'll be happy to hop in with a couple CBP listeners. Although I will say, I make no guarantees that we'll play duos. We can be in the same game, but
they turn on you.
That's right. You never know. You never know.
Did they introduce one-timers yet in that game or no?
No one-timers, and you can't cross the crease for goals yet. But I think they're going to put that in next patch probably.
Ah, boo. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the patch. Let's talk about
New and Dyke is still OP in that version of the game.
He's man the game, by the way, in my opinion. Yeah, beauty of a story that came out of Australia. Australia's energy market operator, AEMO, right? They came out this week. This is fucking fantastic. They say that households out there that make their own power, you know, the ones that have solar panels on roofs, right?
Yeah.
And they also have they have batteries where they store electricity.
Subsidized by the government at some point, probably, in both cases.
Yeah. Well, don't think you could use that power because it looks like they're going to have people share that energy that they're storing in batteries with the grid during peak times to keep electricity costs low. So you went out there, you spent tens of thousands of dollars for the solar panels. Maybe you had to retrofit your roof to carry the extra weight. Put the new battery wall inside the house. It's not a cheap cost. And now I could use this energy. You could harvest it during the hot time and just use that to cool my house. No, man. You got to give it back as needed because they have to keep electricity costs low. Love it. Good job, Australia.
Australia's a joke, man. They just put out a tweet on the 9th of November here. I kind of have it handy because I thought we were going to talk about Australia tonight. Anthony Albanese, who I think is just an MP over there, or he's a prime minister. He's the PM. Oh my God. Australia, he has this video out where he's proclaiming proudly that Australia also going to ban social media for anyone under 16 to keep them safe online. Why would you ever live in Australia? Like,
you know what? Australia,
what is going on over there?
If you look at the posts coming out of there, and they're talking about the change in what's going on with the demographics. Yeah. They're about, I would say, 2 to 3 years behind Canada. Okay. They're following the exact same footsteps in terms of how people are entering and the Conestogas of this. Everything is just fucking following the exact same footsteps. They're just a few years behind. It's funny to watch. Now, we're more advanced in that regard, not to say that it's better to be more advanced. It's just funny to see we've gone through this whole exercise and others are just trying to follow suit.
There's a comment from Rob. First they came for the electricity and I did nothing for I did not have any spare electricity. It's so true, man. Like you never know what they're going to come for next. Your canned tuna, they're coming for that next. Community tuna.
There's more to it. COP 30, Joey. COP 30.
COP 30. We're back.
Yes, they are. Started today for the next 2 weeks, November 10th to November 25th.
Now, I heard, Len, that they're not getting nearly the attendance they wanted this year. Is that true?
I'm not sure. I mean, based on estimates, they're saying it's going to be 50,000 people attending, which is on the high end compared to previous COPs. And do you know where it's taking place, Joey?
Brampton?
No, it is a B. It's in Brazil, a city/town called Belém. I'm probably butchering the fucking name.
It's probably a Call of Duty map or something if I go back long enough in the line of games.
So Belém, Belem, and I decided to take a look. If you wanted to fly there from Toronto, with all delays and everything, it's 12 hours and 45 minutes according to Google. From London, it's around 12 hours and 50 minutes. Paris, 11 hours and 50 minutes. Like it's not a hop, skip, and a jump away, but it's
they picked a place, sounds like, where everybody has to fly equally far to get there. No one's really close to it.
It's summertime over there, or late spring. And weather is fantastic. It's I did a Google search how much fuel a private jet would have to consume in order to fly from Toronto to Belém, and it's between 6,000 and 12,000 gallons.
That's a lot.
And if you had to, I asked Google how far the average car would be able to drive with using 6,000 gallons of fuel. I'm using the lower number, by the way, not 12,000. That's 164,000 miles, so maybe 200,000 plus kilometers, and that's just one car. And how many jets are coming in? Remember, we saw the airport pictures last year. Was it Egypt? They were wherever the fuck they were. Either Oman, I don't know. It was just
I remember the landing strip pictures though. Yeah.
Yes.
Parking lot. Yeah. Parking lot of jets.
And the location of this, you have to understand, it's adjacent to the Amazon forest. And Trump was pointing out that they cut down a whole bunch of trees to build a highway. And there were some pictures on an adjacent article confirming this. You should see that they're laying down the asphalt here, cutting down all these fucking trees so people could fly in and drive to it's just an interesting location. They say that the government is also facing criticism for ramping up its oil drilling license because Brazil wants to become a top 5 global producer of oil by 2030. And
Whoa, so this is where they picked for the conference.
So they're burning fossil fuels like oil, gas, and coal like crazy. And this is, if somebody's going to say this is the main cause for climate issues, Brazil, which they're hosting it, they should basically tell them what the fuck's going on. They say, I don't know who they are, but they say that global temperatures temporarily exceeded the dreaded 1.5 Celsius mark last year. That was the hottest year on record. I don't know, my small little corner of the world over here, I barely used the air conditioner. My spring was fucking washed out because it was too cold and too rainy to play fucking golf. So I don't know, maybe it was over 1.5 for the year. I don't fucking know. Canada's sending delegations over there. They're sending a delegation led by the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. They also have representatives from the Indigenous communities, the civil communities, youth and businesses. The list goes on and on. You know, they have this thing every fucking year, and they fly in, and they say that they're going to come up with all these beautiful ideas in which they can make the world a greener and better place. But how they choose to fly in there, and in the same time, like, let's be honest, Joey, because they continually to nickel and dime people and take away from their savings, take away from their pensions, take away from their salaries, take away from everything that their ability to fucking accumulate anything. And they do this with the intention, the guise of improving the climate. And so at the same time, they go out and fly a motherfucking jet. I haven't been on a fucking jet in 10 fucking years. My jalopy of a car is losing weight by the day because it's fucking rusted to hell. I'm not the fucking problem. I'm fucking contributing to the society. I'm going to work. I'm paying my taxes, and yet they fucking whittle away at what I could earn and what I could save. This is why I have Bitcoin, man. And I see this. This is a sticking point over there. The topics they have at COP30, Joey. Oh, I have it here, by the way. Beautiful. If you go there, these are the topics they're going to be talking about. Action for climate empowerment and children and youth. Adaptation and resilience. Budget is going to be fucking massive. Where it comes from, you know where it comes from. Climate finance. How they're fucking going to finance this stuff? Well, I have no fucking clue. But climate technology. Let's see what else. Innovation. Land use. By the way, the land is being taken away in some parts of BC. Mitigation, science, the ocean. There's so much being talked about over there.
What is mitigation?
It's fucking.
You see in the comments here, Jason saying COP 2030 would be a Fort Mac.
Right, if you're gonna have it there, might as well have it at Fort Mac in the backdrop of the fires and the fucking.
They're gonna have it at one of the local strip clubs. has gotten so many of the Fort Mac guys over the years.
And if you think about it, if you're having it far in south, in the southern hemisphere, the majority of the people attending, the delegates attending, are probably coming from northern states, northern countries. Why not try to mitigate how much fucking carbon you're going to emit into the atmosphere? Put it in a centralized location, pick like London or something, and then go from there. At least you could then say we're trying to keep this as local as possible. Maybe fucking cold there, But hey, you know what? Like, they're not there to get a fucking 10.
They don't care.
They're there to
They don't
fucking
even.
talk
They
about
don't even care about
No,
how it
they
looks.
don't.
They don't care about anything. They don't give a rat's
No, they-
ass
they
about
do not.
anything.
And that's why I stopped fucking caring. I totally stopped fucking caring. Love it.
What can you say? What can you say? I mean, the private jet elite, okay, the champagne socialists, call them whatever you want. They're running out of steam, I think, in a big way. They just lost a big guy in Bill Gates. You know, he no longer thinks climate change is this doomer issue. Everyone's got to backtrack from all their predictions. It's, you know, I think this is almost run its course. We'll see what comes next. There'll be something these guys put their attention toward, but I don't think it's going to be this for much longer.
Well, it's, as long as there's a way to make a buck, some people they'll be able to take advantage, right? But
yeah,
Trump came out with this really interesting idea. 30-year mortgages suck. 50-year mortgages, they're good. I like that. So you got lower monthly payments and more interest being paid as a result for the extra duration in the mortgage. You talked about it briefly on Sunday. Do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff to mention here that I think is important, and I just want to point to two things really. One is that on a $500,000 mortgage, assuming you keep a consistent interest rate for the entire term, you only save about $350 on the monthly payment going from 30-year to 50-year. So the savings in and of themselves are not significant, but if you're able to do something with those savings, like put it in the S&P or in Bitcoin or whatever, and grow them, you will probably outpace the value of your house with that savings, which is important. The point that I would posit to you and to the listeners and viewers is that the people who need 50-year mortgages probably are not doing that. Now, as I mentioned on Sunday, I've done this with my mortgage recently. I extended my mortgage back out to 30 years because I think we're in an inflationary, like secular inflationary period where any equity position that's not headed to zero, like, you know, some kind of quantum shitco or something, like you're going to do a lot better in those markets than you will in your housing. So to put money into your house is, I think, kind of a fool's errand for at least a few years. Lower your payment and extend your AM and put that money into the stock market. That's not financial advice. I can handle that kind of responsibility. Not everybody can. And so I want you to think about that for your own situation. The thing that I think is important, though, as I mentioned earlier, is that there's a demand stimulation issue in the United States. Whether it's car loans, 50-year mortgages, whatever, 15-year car loans, 50-year mortgages, you're not seeing people willing to spend money, and affordability is a problem. We also know affordability is a problem because they want to give $2,000 stimulus checks to everybody and call them tariff dividends. And we also know affordability is a problem because, a year ago, not even, we had Pulte saying again that people's Bitcoin and crypto had to count toward their net worth in terms of housing availability and opportunity. So yeah, I look at all this stuff and I think people have no money. They're looking to assign value to anything they can. It's not helping enough. So what do? We got to be able to make the payments easier. Let's do it. I think this is going to be a disaster. How is it not? Dodd-Frank in 2008, as a result of that financial crisis the United States had, and that almost took down the entire global economy. Some would argue it did take down the entire global economy, save for Operation Twist and QE and all this other fancy financialization. Dodd-Frank, as part of the new rules, eliminated 50-year mortgages because they don't want people taking on all that debt for smaller payments. Because if one thing goes wrong, what happens? Well, 3 properties go out, 5 properties go out, whatever, right? And you can't have that in a market that's relying on debt. And so now they're going to go backwards on it, presumably here in some way. I don't know exactly how it's going to look. It's not law yet, but man, you know what the other thing that surprises me? Not a lot of pushback, because I think there's a lot of people on the left who say, I want to buy a house. I would like to have a 50-year mortgage if it meant I could get a house. I'm into this, right? And so Democrats have been quiet today and yesterday about this particular policy point. I think there's something to that. Because everybody on the left and right, under a certain age, under a certain net worth, is feeling that pinch. They don't realize the minefield they're walking into here. I think this is going to be fun to watch. Personally, it's going to be good content for CBP. I'll tell you that.
It's going to take years before you see anything really play out from this.
For sure.
That's just the reality of it.
But it won't take years for people to say home ownership is way up in the under 35s. Home ownership is way up in the, deep South, the lowest earning states. The average home buyer, first-time home buyer age is down from 38 to 36 to 34, whatever, right? Like they'll talk about the data
trending in the right
way.
direction. It's
exactly.
A good point.
And the one they won't talk about is how much debt people are taking. It's just like they're running out of ways to kick the can down the road, I think.
That's a beautiful thing for businesses. The ones that are administering the debt, as long as it's sustainable, people aren't defaulting at it. People are happy to take that. Also, on a different way of looking at it, you're borrowing 50 years in today's money. If your payments are going to
the debt is static. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think the people who are getting 50-year loans are in precarious situations. And so those precarious situations lead to negative outcomes sometimes in a way that, people who have solid financial footing don't often experience. So this is a problem that they're going to have, right? Or could have, more likely to have, let's say.
The longer the duration, the more the risk goes up, because the risk is going to be low 1 year, but you're rolling the dice every time. It's like eventually you're going to get snake eyes, and it could be in year 37 or it could be year 49, whatever. But you're just increasing the chances of something going wrong because of the longer duration. Japan is the only other one that has longer. I think they have 100 years, and it's only for certain circumstances, but there's still 100-year mortgages that they have there. And that's for families to keep property within the family. That's the way I understand it.
Mm-hmm. John pointing out in the chat too that 50-year terms have higher rates than 30-year. So another thing to consider in terms of how much quote unquote savings you're going to have. I don't know. We'll see. I'd be surprised if the 50-year was not more affordable on a monthly basis than the 30-year.
It has to be.
Exactly. So there will be some legislation protecting borrowers against that.
Correct.
I think. Yeah.
For everything being equal, if everything is the exact same and you compare 30 years versus a 50-year, there is no way the 50 years is going to be more expensive.
Yeah,
but if it's if those 50 years they're buying more expensive houses as a result.
Well, if the underwriters are allowed to underwrite to the risk, then they will underwrite it at a higher rate. If they're not, then if they're not, then what happens, Len? The government backstops the loans. Is that the logical next step? It is, right? If the underwriters can't rate on the loan, the long loan, then the government backstops them.
Yeah,
I think
I like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So the $2,000 that
you get the phone number for them?
No, I don't. It's only emails now. It's AI when you contact them. The tariff dividend at $2,000. That's interesting that they're coming out with that.
He said fight between him and Bessent, though, right? Like Trump says it's a check. Bessent says it might be in the form of price reductions. Trump says again, we're sending it to everybody. And unless you're really rich, you're getting it.
Yes. That's exactly it. The high income people, quote unquote, are the ones who are not, whatever that means. So that's an arbitrary number, maybe over 100K in terms of annual income. I don't know. The details aren't there. This is just like one of his beauty. He's taking a shit and he decides to post this on Truth Social, and right, like that's basically. But you know what it is? Remember the last time they gave us stimulus checks and the lobster parties in Miami? They ran out of lobster, right? Like it's going to be a time like that. And, those lobsters, by the way, I'm using the hard R here because they're not from New England. And, New Englanders, they love their stuff.
Lobster.
Yeah. So the
Do you know, Len, you got EBT, SNAP checks coming back now, and now also a $2,000 stimmy. Talk about good timing. Going to be a party at Walmart in your local low-income neighborhood pretty soon.
You know where else they're having parties is at the Liberal Party in Canada because people are defecting over there.
This is nuts. What's going on there? It's nuts.
We could talk about the post budget party. We could talk about the flights coming back where they're sitting in a lounge. We could talk about them embracing people walking into. Did you see they kept the doors open to the caucus meeting when that guy, I forget his name.
They cheered his name. They were chanting his name or whatever. I think his name was Matt. Wasn't it Matt?
I don't even know what the fuck.
I forget now.
But anyways, they were cheering him on. Like, my God, one of the best things about this fucking budget, I think, it just truly just says everything. Think about when you fill up your car, when you go buy groceries. This shit ain't coming to you any cheaper today than it's always a little bit more expensive. There's a little more tax, a little something that's always extra added to it. But the budget, they decided to remove a tax that used to be applied to private jets and yachts. If you bought a vessel or a jet over $250,000, let's be honest, none of us could fucking afford that. You used to be subjected to a tax. Once this budget passes, that tax is gone. And they're doing this with the idea of trying to make the Bombardiers of the world and shit like that actually produce these, give them at least a boost up that they're able to sell a few more. I love this, man. I love, like, if anybody out there could see my fucking car, which it's leaking a little bit of diesel, by the way, right now. I gotta fix that. It's not leaking a little bit of fucking diesel. The thing is, like, I don't know, man. Like, I can't afford $250,000 yacht. I can't afford it. I could afford a $2,000 jalopy, but like, what? I'm not getting a fucking break on it.
Do you know what the funniest part is, Len? That they kept the tax on base model SUVs in Canada and took it away on jets and boats.
Like, the people that actually need to buy, right? Like, you can't continually buy used cars. Eventually, you're gonna have to buy new cars, and if there's still taxes on it, like, it just makes it harder to buy. And well, you're gonna take the bus to work and get fucking stabbed on the way.
There's some absolute bangers in the budget. I'll read a few of them here to you. I mean, this is nuts. I also want to share something from Millennial Moron after that I thought was interesting, but we'll start here. Here's a few line items. Okay, this is from Wealth Moose on Twitter. Sorry if you already heard some of these on Sip and Rip, but I gotta say these on the flagship. 150 million to the CBC, which includes Canada joining the Eurovision Song Contest. Hilarious. 43 million for a quote national listening initiative, which is paying consultants so government can listen better. 17.9 million to modernize government social media messaging. So basically a tax-funded content strategy. Have they considered just telling the truth on social media? That might help. 32 million to regulate how Netflix and TikTok should show us Canadian content. Algorithm engineering on the taxpayer dime. 28 million for, this is a banger, public service worker, anti-isolation culture support, therapy for remote bureaucrats. 63 million to develop a federal K-12 digital citizenship curriculum. You want Ottawa in the classroom talking about how to be a good digital citizen? I doubt it. 8 million for a government-funded climate fiction writing program. So some climate novels there to the tune of 8 million. 219 million for building greening teams, mostly administrators, not actually retrofitting. 48 million for sustainable tourism experience design. That's climate mindfulness trail planning. 11 million for holiday event coordination, the Federal Christmas Party Planning Committee, literally. Whoa. And Millennial Moron points out that if you go to page 300, there's a pretty good breakdown of how they're viewing investment compared to operating. And that the definition of investment is so broad, Len, that guess what? The budget's already in a surplus. Did anyone notice that? No one noticed. So they're already in a surplus. Gold. We're black again, baby. Books are black. We are back. We are so back.
I like the Canada, the build thing that they're building. I forget the acronym or the name of it. And Brookfield is going to be able to take advantage of it from according to Google AI.
Perfect.
That was I don't know, either way. Did see that even Canada, they released a job report for the month of October, and it was just by the numbers, it's looking pretty good. 66,000 jobs were created. Unfortunately, they lost 18,000 full-time jobs. 18,000 jobs full-time were lost, but 85,000 part-time jobs were created as a result. This is in the month of October, and it was like in the food and beverages and tourism and stuff like that. It's probably, just in line with what's going on with Major League Baseball and the Toronto Blue Jays. And they managed to get to the World Series. And so a lot more people were going to bars and traveling to Toronto and shit like that. And that helped increase that part-time employment. That's going to disappear once, well, it's now gone because baseball's done for the year. So nobody could look at this and say, yeah, this is fucking great. They lost fucking almost 20,000 full-time jobs. And it's replaced by a bunch of part-timers. Like, this is not sustainable. But whatever. At least, I'll say one thing. The Canada pension plan, I got to give them credit. I'm not sure if you saw this one. They're going to be increasing their investments in the Indian market. And they're going to be tripling their investment from $10 billion that was in, they already have $10 billion from 2020 to now $30 billion as of June of this year. And so
I thought we were taking their best and brightest. Why would we be investing there?
I guess we left a few that are very bright over there that's going to manage our money
Interesting.
somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah,
okay. Looking forward
CPP
to seeing how that goes.
divesting from Canada, investing in India. Bring it on. See that video? That guy.
Listen, let's talk about the jobs data quick. The jobs data is interesting because it's mostly seasonal work, right? It's retail and stuff like that, which people obviously like CP24 didn't report on that, obviously. So got that to think about. Rich Diaz today, friend of the show, friend of mine. Something seems off with the latest Canadian labor force survey data. The jump of 66.6K in October is at odds with the survey of employment payrolls and hours, the more reliable, albeit less timely employment statistic. The numbers are juiced. The government numbers are juiced. Payrolls does not reflect any of this. Why are we pretending? What is going on?
I don't think anybody is. And it's not like that whoever's bringing out these numbers and saying it's good, the opposition's weak. They're losing members.
They're so weak that like they don't even talk about in the data. What else did I say on Sunday? 30%, like 1 in 3 of the jobs was taken by a senior citizen. And the number of people in that jobs data that added a second job or have multiple jobs is up to 30,000. 30,000 of those new jobs are people with multiple jobs.
That you got to break it down a different way. Think of all the people out there that have too much free time in their hand and they just want to exchange that for making extra money.
I can't tell you this.
Right? Think about it.
That's serious.
Come on. Fucking Christ.
Oh man.
I want to talk about this house arrest for these truck driving school guys.
That's great. I was always gonna message you and be like, "Hey, I've seen this story. Okay, don't give me the Brampton man."
No, this is not. This is just a regular story, man. This ain't fucking Brampton or whatever, man. This is a couple of guys in Ontario, Gurvinder Singh and Gurpreet Singh. They were operating
good Ontario boys. Yeah.
They were operating a fraudulent truck driving training school, and they were found to have provided substandard, unapproved training, primarily targeting new immigrants from South Asia, conducting lessons in Punjabi. And the scam was launched after Ontario introduced a mandatory entry-level training program back in 2017, and for people to obtain the Class A commercial license, which required a minimum number of instructional hours and standardized skills before a road test can be scheduled. So the two folks charged students between $4,000 and $5,000, slightly undercutting the price of legitimate schools. And they also circumvented the official certification process. Basically, this allowed students to receive their license without the necessary adequate training. The courts found that the drivers were ill-prepared to drive trucks and posed a clear and serious threat to public safety on Canadian roads. So these two guys were sentenced to house arrest for their role. House arrest, Joey. House arrest.
How did they find this operation? Any idea? They're ticketing drivers, presumably, or something like that. Like they must have some lead that got them there. So what was it?
They must have found somebody that just fucking can't drive. Where did you go? Okay, let's fucking investigate. And
we're laughing.
Too bad. Like I really wanted to get my Class A.
Well,
I was gonna go there, but
I don't speak Punjabi. Or what did you say they're giving the lessons in?
It's in Punjabi. I have Google Translate. I could use that.
The new AirPods, I think, do live translation too.
It's even better. So I don't gotta do shit. Just gotta put something in my ear and it's translated for me.
Oh man, what a mess this country's becoming. Just one embarrassment after another.
Let's go on. We got another case.
Did you hear, by the way? Before the budget, Champagne was walking into the press gallery, or walking through the press gallery. I don't know what that staircase is in Parliament.
Yeah, it's a famous staircase where you come.
Yeah, down. So he's walking up, and people are asking him about the budget shoes. Okay, I didn't know this, but I guess you got to get a new pair of shoes for the budget. Is that the story? Sure. Yeah. And one of the reporters says, "Hey, how much of a lift do those things have in them?" The guy's like, he was trying to walk through the the press corps. He's like, I don't have time. I got to meet with the prime minister. And Buddy's like, how much of a lift do you have on or something like that? And he goes, no, there's no lift. I am a short man, but there's no lift in these shoes. I was like, oh, fuck. That one tickled him the wrong way. He stopped and answered that question. Tough scene, Canadian Parliament.
So let's talk about the Canadian justice system.
Minister, I am like 5'10" on a good day, so no harm, no foul here. Okay, me and Len are a couple of vertically challenged paisans. We're just pointing out
5'1" maybe
pointing out a funny moment on TV.
Yeah, I think it's you undersell. That's the case, and simply say, "Oh, you're a fucking giant compared to what you're saying." So yeah, I want to talk about this guy Yasir Beg, and he was tried in Canada. He's a Pakistani immigrant and Canadian permanent resident, and he was granted a chance to stay in Canada despite he causing a 5-vehicle crash that caused a death in Ontario back in 2018. So Beg came to Canada in 2018 as a permanent resident. He was driving on a QEW in Mississauga, and he suddenly cut off somebody in the left passenger lane, and basically after that he slowed down his Civic to about 50 kilometers per hour, causing the vehicle behind him to slow down, and then behind them somebody got nailed, and it was a lady, Nicole Turcotte, 22, died in hospital.
Yeah.
So this guy fucked up, cut somebody off, stopped, and somebody got killed as a result. Not only that, he fled the scene. And
fled the scene
too. So not just fucking caused the death, he fucking fled. Later surrendered to police, pled guilty to dangerous driving causing death. And the federal court decided to rule in his favor of not sending him back to Pakistan because it would cause extreme hardship to his Canadian-born wife and 3 young children, because none of whom speak Urdu or Punjabi, and they would face problems if they were have to be forced to move to Pakistan. And also their twin sons have learning disabilities that require special educational accommodations and medical care from his wife. And they fear that would be not available or inadequate in Pakistan. And yeah, there's another one. Like, it seems to be like they're just, the way the courts are deciding things, it's looking a lot on the status of somebody and if it's impact their ability to stay here or get sent back home. Like, it's just like, I don't know, man. Between this and the truck driving school, like, you can't say that you have any faith in driving in Southern Ontario and say, yeah, I'm going to get to my destination. It's a fucking crapshoot.
There was a podcast I listened to the other day, The Line, with Matt Gurney and Jen Gerson, who I'd love to have on this show, though I think, it'd be difficult to get them because we're kind of in a weird silo. Anyway, Matt had a lawyer on who, against all odds, thinks that it is critical that we continue to decrease and alter sentences for non-citizens, even for serious crimes, so that they're allowed to stay. I
like a 2-tiered system. I like that. I mean, justice should be blind. No,
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how you could think that. Heaven forbid something happens to your family, someone in your family, from Singh transport trucks or whatever, what you name it. And the rationale for not punishing him is because his wife might face some hardships moving back. Put him on a fucking boat and send him back. It's not hard. It's like that meme, right? Everything can be fixed by flicking the switch. And every voice is like, no, you better not even talk about flicking the switch. There is no switch. Don't even mention the switch. No one is going to talk about the switch today. The switch is send every person who's not a citizen who commits a crime back home immediately. No trial, no questions, no delay. They're gone. Their family wants to go too. We'll pay for it. You're gone too. That's it. Simple as, man, but we won't do it. We don't have the guts. We don't have the testicular fortitude to stomach that kind of policy position, but it's the only solution. Honestly, like, I don't know what else you're supposed to do at this point with some of these people. The truck driver one is worse because they're training people, and then those people are going out and, like, I'm not saying they're all killing people, but they certainly have the opportunity to do so. And I just don't know how that's allowed to go on. How's that possible?
Yeah, those people should be stripped of their license.
Yeah.
And
I see Crypto Dad. I see your comment. I'm not going to mention it on the air, but you can listen back to other episodes. Like, I'm not sure if you're a frequent listener or whatever, but I'm very critical of that particular group very frequently on this show.
Joey, I think it's a good time to transition to the Hamilton versus Brampton men
Love it.
segment of the show, brought to you by 256 Heat, where you could purchase a unit, heat your home, collect sats at the same time. KYC if you choose to do so. So check them out. Twan, he's a wonderful guy. He sets up these units. Joey, do you have one running in the background right now?
I have one running. I'm gonna see if I share my screen.
I just want to add, I can't even hear it. It's that quiet.
Well, people have messaged me and actually don't believe that I have one running because they can't hear it. So I just want to know if I share my screen, what will show up on. No, I won't. So look, this is my miner. It's running right now at 30 terahash, just under 1,000 watts. It's like, I don't know, 8 feet from my feet. Can't hear anything. Running at that speed. Fantastic. So
256heat.com is where you can look to buy these units. You could have them in the same room as where you sleep, and they are quiet. So it's not going to impact your sleep. If you want to heat a segment of your home that's cold, it's drafty, whatever, and earn some sats, this is what you want. These units are fantastic.
It's prime time now too, because it's getting colder. Easier to run it hot when it's cold outside. This is the time, man.
And so, yeah, Rob's just saying he got his 256 Heat unit running this week, and he was very happy. He messaged me offline about this.
Sick.
Thank you, Rob. And let's transition to the Hamilton versus Brampton man segment of the show, where I present two stories. One is the Hamilton man, and the other is the Brampton man, or it could be person. And you can decide who is who and who belongs to what. So, Joey, let's do it. And people can play along at home, so you're not forced to just watch us.
We'll be selling the board game Q2 2026. You'll be able to get the Hamilton versus Brampton man board game.
We're just applying for the grant with the Canadian government after the budget was passed. The first one is, there's two interesting ones. It's a woman arrested in a bizarre fake pregnancy and pizza day scam. And a woman was arrested Thursday in a bizarre scam that included a fake pregnant daughter and a fictional pizza day, the police said. And according to the police, the woman showed up at a 57-year-old man's door on Thursday, underdressed for the weather and in a panic. And she told the man that her daughter was in labor and she desperately needed a ride to her house. The man didn't recognize the woman, but assumed that she was a neighbor. So the two got in the man's car and started to drive. And during the drive, the woman told the man it was also pizza day at her son's school and asked him to break a $50 bill so she'd have some change to give to him, the police said. So she handed over to 50. He gave her change. And not long after that, she asked him to do the same with a $100 bill. And he gave her change, but she never gave back the $100. They said. So instead, she ran off with the man's $100, and he was short $100. And police say that the woman is well known to police, and the person has a prolific history of intentionally targeting members of the community. A 47-year-old woman was charged with theft under $5,000 for failing to comply with her probation. Story number one.
Got him twice in the same car ride. Oh my God.
The second time was I took the $100 and ran away. But second, we got this woman charged after a church was defrauded $275,000, according to police. And the police say this woman is facing fraud charges after more than $275,000 in funds were stolen from an Ontario church, which was allegedly redirected to her account. And police say between a 3-year period of time, she was an employee at the church in charge of collecting payments for rental of the church's hall. And the church's hall is rented up to community organizations for events such as meetings, wedding, and concerts, according to police. And it's alleged that the employee redirected the rental funds for the church directly into her personal account, and she siphoned them for more than $275,000. 50-year-old woman was arrested and charged with fraud over $5,000. So those are two stories. We have the fake pregnancy and bizarre pizza day scam, and also we have the ripping off of the church for $275,000. One is a Hamilton, one is a Brampton. Let's see which is which.
I think the second one is the Brampton one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because not a lot of Brampton men and women are using pizza day as part of their scam. That would be a weird one for me, I think. And I just think it's almost too culturally distant from that group.
So
Do I
if it
have
was
that right?
naan day, like if they're
Naan
doing
day,
naan
yeah. If it was like garlic naan day, maybe yeah.
or
it would be.
samosa day or something like that.
But
with
like the other
church.
thing too is, if it seems to me like the average Brampton man scam is like a quick hit and run. It's not usually like I got 50 and came back with the pizza and then got the 100. It's like I got the 50, I'm out of there. So I think also I think it's easier for a white chick to woo a guy who's clearly like lonely and not getting any pussy, right? Like that's got to be part of the story here. I think, is it not? Has to be. If you give $150 to a stranger for pizza day for a kid, like I think
Oh,
that's
she did get changed for the 50. It was the $100 that she.
well, whatever. He
still-
gave her $150 to the total sum of distributed money was $150. I don't know what he got back, but it wasn't $150.
$50 he got back. Yeah.
I think
he's shy 100.
yeah, I think Hamilton is the picca and Brampton is the church.
You're correct.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
There you go. So it was a little challenging, this one, because
That was a tough one. That was a tough one. What is the deal with the church? So what? The lady is running she's like running the social committee, or she's on staff at the parish? Like, what's the deal?
Well, she shared this in the private chat. And
Okay.
you could do what you
I'll
want. So yeah,
I'll
she
have
was
a look.
in charge of like doing the rentals and of the church. And
Wow, 2-year-old story. Good haul here.
yeah, I can't get something super recent.
First,
but, like,
this is the first paragraph of this story. Peel Regional Police say a woman is facing fraud charge after more than $275,000 in funds from a Brampton church was redirected into her account. It redirected in air quotes, by the way. I love that.
I see. I had to remove the word Brampton so an Ontario church I had to use. So yeah, this is part of the process of setting up the news stories for Monday shows.
Absolute banger. Absolute banger.
Hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, I love to know people also selected the correct one, because this is not just for us. This is a community fucking game.
I love it. Okay, let's get out of here. Twan, I saw Twan message us on Signal, so we're gonna bring Twan on Wednesday. Me and Len will do it. One of us will do it anyway. Maybe both of us. I don't know what's going on. We'll see. And you guys, until then, take care of yourselves. Be careful on the roads out there. You never know what school these guys went to. You know.
What the fuck can I say about that? Pick a reputable school. Fuck.